Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about passions. I have it on my phone, so if you see me looking anywhere else, it's at my phone. Okay? Some notes. I have some 3 right now, but I will expand. Today I'm going to be talking about passions. I think it's something that everyone experiences in life where they don't know what they're doing, and they tend to fall down this rabbit hole of what's my passion? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do in my life? Some people may never ask themselves that question. Others might. And, you're probably here if you've asked yourself that question. So, I'm not going to explain what a passion is. This is just my thoughts, experience, what I've learned about passions and purpose and whatnot. So, first, I would like to set my own definition of what I think a passion is. I think a lot of the time passion gets mixed up with career, and sometimes it gets combined and cannot be seen as a separate thing, and I think it can be. To me, a career typically is more for the people, like you do it for others. It's more for an appearance, like to look good. It's like, I think since jobs, there's a lot of hierarchy and structure and people in a setting, it typically does revolve around people and needing to be seen in a certain light. And I think it is human nature to be wanting to be seen, approved of, wanting to be approved of, okay? It is human nature to be approved of. It's taught at such a young age to seek approval, to seek authority or correction, like that type of stuff. And in school, it is always taught to be the best, or like seek that type of feeling. I would say I don't know how to put it into words, but when you see it in certain aspects of life, that itself is the words. Okay, so like job environments, school, typical life structure. Okay, we are designed to seek approval, and that is what a career to me is. It's designed to seek approval. Sometimes it cannot be, you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for others. Not all the time, but in my way of looking at it, most of the time. And a passion to me is something that's more for yourself, behind the doors. You do it not for others, but for self-enjoyment. And that is a big difference when looking at your career and your passion. Do they align in the end? Maybe. It depends on what you're doing in your life. But with that, I think something that goes into passion that typically is for yourself is a hobby. Now, I think there's a big connection between a hobby and a passion. Hobbies are something that has been degraded over time. Like, being good at one specific thing was such a good thing back in the olden days, okay? It has been glorified through history. Being good at one thing was what made people successful. And to me, that's a hobby. Like the masons, the wood people, fisher people, salespeople, whatever it is. They were good at one thing, which allowed them to survive and be better and be quote-unquote successful. And that was a hobby. It was a hobby, because a hobby to me is being good at something you feel good about, being the best at one thing you like. And sometimes you're not the best, but you're working towards being the best you can be within that hobby. And I think a lot of people tend to have a lot of hobbies. The saying, a jack of all trades but a master of none, that type of stuff. And it's definitely seen with what's happening now. And a lot of people don't want hobbies or don't have hobbies because of the time spent scrolling on TikTok. And I think hobbies is one of the best ways to find your passion. Now, hobbies, you can try all of them. You're not going to like all of them. And that's the whole point. You're not supposed to like all of them. You're supposed to find the ones you like and thus move into one that you want. Like a bottleneck. You filter everything through and one's going to come out. Or maybe like 3 or 5 or more. Whatever's your style. But you find things that you like. And that is the whole point. Because finding your passion is finding things that you like. Not what others like, but what you like. And that is very critical, I think, when finding a passion. Now, with that, I think passion is something that has been always questioned, always wondered about. And throughout life, people ask themselves that question. Some may not ask themselves that question until they're like 40 or 50. But some may ask that like when they're trying to, like in their 20s, trying to figure out what they want to do in their life. And it's important to notice why we ask, why we search for a passion. And I think why people who are older or wiser have their idea or have their passion or know how to explain it is because of the time they've experienced it and the wisdom they've gained throughout the years, and how self or validation from others isn't typically necessary once you are that age, because you've been through life, you've had that experience, which is why finding a passion at such early ages is such a stressful task, I would say. Like when the 20s crisis or mid 20s crisis or whatever, where people don't know what to do, don't know what to do with their life. It's a canon event in some way. I think you can learn knowledge at a young age. You don't have to gain wisdom. Gaining wisdom is not an age thing or a periodical thing. I think it can be whenever you want. You just have to be open to wanting it. And that's why people who are older have so much, because even if they weren't open, they still experience it. But you can experience that whenever you want. So it comes into play when talking about passions in the future and whatever you want to do, because the only way you can really know is by learning more about it, I guess. So behind what I was saying, I think it's really important to know why we humans want that. I think I say this all, when we get older, we become more reflective and we want to know why we do things for ourselves. And that's thus leading the question of a passion. So I don't know how to summarize that, but those are my thoughts on it. Maybe you can comment a summary. And the whole reason why this has been a big thing for me is because I've been going through the same thing. I've watched the YouTube videos, I've done the research, I've asked the questions, and one thing that always comes back to my brain is that I think it's Japanese. I'm not sure. And I don't know the name, but I can explain it. It's 4 circles, so like 2 there, 2 there, and then they all connect in the middle. So it's like a Venn diagram, if I'm right, the Venn diagram that like crosses like that. But there's 4 circles, and each one has a different aspect of your life. So like, if money wasn't a problem, what would you do? If you could be super duper happy, what would you do? If what's the hardest thing or hardest career that you would do? And there's like those categories for the 4 boxes, and then in the middle is supposed to be the thing that your passion, the thing you do. Never done it. I don't know if I plan on doing it, but that's just one of the things I've learned. And maybe you can do it if you've been struggling and you can search it up. But something I've gotten from each thing that I've taken is that no one knows what a passion is. The recurring idea, though, is that it's something that you love. And that is very specific. It is something that you love. it's not something that someone else likes or loves. You're not doing it for someone else that you love. It is something that wholeheartedly comes from you. And that has to be taken into what you want to do. It can be really hard to figure out what you love because of all of the media that goes into our brains and all of the things that life brings. So spend time filtering through that. Find what you want. Take a break. Do something where it feels meaningful enough to explore. Hope you guys have a great day. Sorry I've been gone for 3 weeks on vacation, if I already said that. But I hope you like this video. I'm probably going to start creating more then I leave again, but it's okay, because I will be back, and I wish you guys the best day ever.